This conversation around the Nigerian Correctional Service is really pertinent, especially as it relates to Akwa Ibom State Command and recent developments and activities, of course, towards reaching global best practices. Now, it begs the question, what is the state of our correctional centers? Of course, you know that that name had to be changed to correctional centers from prisons, especially to capture the essence of it being not just a place for punitive measures, but to correct and see to it that persons who go there are rehabilitated. But here in Akwa Ibom State, what has been the experience and what are the efforts that are being made towards ensuring decongestion of the correctional centers and ensuring that persons who go there come out to be meaningful citizens eventually when they are released? Well, joining us, we have the privilege to have in the studio live with us the Controller of Corrections, Akwa Ibom Command, CC Frank Okonkwo. You're welcome on the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I know that you have been busy. You resumed in Akwa Ibom since 2024, October, and we've been following your activities, visiting sister agencies and ensuring that you collaborate with them towards reaching the goal of the correctional centers and what it stands at achieving. Now, looking at your activities since 2024, would you say that you are moving steadily towards achieving those global best practices that a correctional center should be able to boast of?
Of course. The answer is a resounding yes. I resumed duties here exactly on 7th of October 2024. And since then, like you pointed out, I've had contacts, courtesy visits made to my fellow commanders and all the other military and paramilitary agencies, and to come down to our own service and efforts that are on ground or that we are making to ensure best global practices in the management of our correctional services here. We have done our best to ensure that the mandate of the prisons, of the correctional service, it was formerly prisons, but now correctional service, the marching order from the president down to our controller general to ensure that things are done properly. We are following them to the letters. Now, a specific example is our own approach to discipline of inmates. For instance, we embark on what is called dynamic security approach to penal management. And what does that imply? Simply means we being able to listen to inmates' peculiar needs, risk assessment, and apply models that treat the root of those needs. We try to find out the causes of their antisocial behaviors. We have psychologists, we have welfare officers who are well groomed to handle such issues, and then we get down to the root of why they commit crimes.
Okay.
And then we devise models to attend to each individual inmate, and then we don't see their incarceration as punishment. Rather, it's an opportunity for them to be reformed, be rehabilitated, and be reintegrated fully back into the society, so that they come out better reformed individuals than they were before they came into the...
Okay. When we talk about the correctional centers, whatever crime you may commit in Nigeria, it stops at the correctional centers because that is where you come. How difficult has it been coordinating these relationships with different agencies for security reasons and all of that? How has it been difficult for you to be able to manage the enormous task that you have to do? And to what extent would you say that you have been successful at doing this?
one of the greatest challenges we have in our facilities here in Akwa Ibom State is the issue of over-congestion. You take Uyo, for instance, that has a capacity for 613 inmates. That's the capacity it is intended to accommodate. But as we speak today, we have a huge number of 1,890 as at now. And so
this is for Uyo alone.
That is for Uyo alone. Across the command, the 4 formations, we have a total of 3,082. But I'm just using Uyo because that's where we have the largest case of congestion. It's a big challenge to us because it equally affects the health as well as accommodation needs of the inmates negatively. So that's a challenge. But we are doing our best. We've cried out to state government to come for assistance, and the governor has actually agreed that the best solution to all these issues is to have this particular Uyo correctional facility relocated to he has mapped out another place outside of Uyo town here, around a town area or so, where he has secured land, and very soon the project will kick off. And then another area of tackling this issue of over-congestion is by collaborating with the judiciary to help us visit the prisons, and graciously, the Honorable Chief Judge of this state, His Lordship Fabian Obot, Ekaite Fabian Obot, graciously between 12th to 14th of February, of March, sorry. March, yeah, this last month. She went around all the custodial centers, embarked on what we call the jail delivery exercise, and in the process, she was able to grant release to over 50 inmates within this command, and we are grateful to her for that, because that has helped in a little way to decongest this to decongest our facilities.
Okay.
So, and she equally granted bail on very liberal conditions to some of the inmates. And as we speak, some of them have facilitated the process, and right now they are free. They have come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue from where you stopped with the chief judge in the state.
Yeah.
I think last year, sometime last year, she mentioned the provision of educational and vocational skills services to inmates to get them prepared for reintegration into society.
Definitely.
What are the steps being taken by the correctional facility to make sure that that starts running?
Already, there are so many rehabilitation, models in place in our various formations. Inmates are gainfully engaged in acquiring skills in various areas like carpentry, barbing. Even some of them are engaged in electrical jobs in cars and panel beating, and also tailoring and other allied areas. So these are some of the ones in practice right now.
Okay.
And in furtherance of the directive to equally engage them in educational pursuits, we have concluded arrangements, and the last lap of inspection was carried out last month by the National Open University of Nigeria, so that we can have a functional approach to it, using a Kotepene prison as a takeoff point. In most other formations, in most other commands, I can speak of Lagos, where I know that already this NOW program is 100% operational. So the last station I headed was Medium Security Custodial Center in Kirikiri. And up to the point I left in 2023, about March, we had students who had gotten first, second degrees, and even pursuing their master's, PhD programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now speaking
That's
on
what we want to
implement here.
replicate. Yeah,
Okay. Now speaking further on other recommendations.
yeah.
Sometime between October and November last year,
Yeah.
the FIDA, Federation Women Lawyers and
Okay.
Youth Alive Foundation, also paid a visit to the Uyo Correctional Center.
Okay.
And they recommended specifically for female inmates
Yeah.
to have a mother-child unit
Okay.
to take care of children that are born
Inside
inside the correctional center,
Yeah.
and also to encourage mother-child bonding. What has been done with regards to that so far?
Well, you know, a lot of things come into implementation of such programs. But the practice in existence is that when people give birth while in incarceration, that's ladies give birth, we make special arrangements to cater for their
Outside the facility?
yeah. That for now, that one is not come fully on stream.
Okay.
Outside the facility. But within the limited space that we have, we make sure we create conducive environment for mother and child, for that bonding. And we also make advocacy for intervention by agencies, individuals, and all of that. And fortunately, during Her Excellency's visit to Uyo Custodial Center, because sometime about February, yeah, Her Excellency, the coordinator of the First Lady's Office, visited there. And during the visit, there was one of the inmates that gave birth. And immediately she left, she was to send some of her aides back to the center with baby things and all of that. So we seek such interventions, and some public-spirited individuals, just like I mentioned, our First Lady, have always come to our aid.
Now, before I let my colleague take over, you just went to the aspect of welfare. Now, talking about the welfare of inmates in the Uyo Correctional Center, some well-meaning individuals, non-governmental organizations come around to support with certain items. How are these items used judiciously, distributed evenly, amidst the overcrowding you talked about?
You know, we are very democratic in our approach to governance inside the yard. We have leaders from amongst the inmates.
Okay.
You know, based on religion, based on some other consideration.
Okay.
Like, was it just a few days ago, the Muslims had their during such periods, some Muslim brothers from outside the correctional center, they usually bring welfare
packages.
items.
Okay.
So we have the chief imam, who is among the inmates, that takes superintendence of distribution of such materials. And of course, they are liberal enough to share with their Christian brothers. The same thing happens when Christians bring things. There are various leaders, apart from religious leaders like the chaplain, the imam, and all of that. There are other structures within the facility. We have overall leader that you can liken to as a president, you know. And then within the various cells that make up the community, they probably have cell leaders. Appointed or elected? Normally, it's through the process of election done by the inmates themselves.
Okay.
And then they have so many other leaders that function in different capacity. All of them come together as a council.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they supervise distribution of such facilities, because some of them are spirited enough to also bring items for the workers.
Okay.
And then they will properly designate. Even when Her Excellency came, she did something like that. These ones are for the staff.
The staff.
These ones are for
inmates.
Yeah, so the ones meant for the inmates would go straight to the inmates.
Okay.
And they have their own formula for that distribution and all of that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Controller. How true is the notion that inmates who are found within Nigeria tend to come out to be even worse. Is that notion still true? Because people still say that, I mean, you see somebody being arrested for a particular crime and sent to prison or correctional center, as the case is now, but then they come out to be even worse and still end up there. How related is this to the issue of congestion that you spoke about? And then also, it brings me to the remark you made concerning the Chief George making that release of some inmates. Was it based on good behavior? How was the criteria arrived at? And would it still be the case if we had enough room to keep these inmates?
Yeah, thank you so much. Very fine question. Yeah, actually there are some persons we refer to as, social recidivists. As no matter the treatment design you do for them and implement, these are people who have chosen, I just want to live my life in prison. And so some of them get out before you say Jack Robinson, next week or 2 weeks later they are back. So that's a class of its own. It's like leptomania. The thing is in their
DNA or blood.
Yeah. So, but honestly, the honest fact is that those who actually came to prison by mere mistake and humble themselves, they accept the treatment regime that we give to them. Majority of them come out clean and they are easily reintegrated back into society, and their people are happy that they are back.
Okay.
Now there are some bad ones, like I said, their people are not even happy. Even when they come back, oh, this one has come back with his trouble, and they can make all manner of things, insinuations to have him brought back to prison. So we on our own, we are doing our best, but we still have, like I said, this challenge of proper classification. Proper classification may not always be there because of the overcrowding that we talked about. We spoke about overcrowding because the facilities to house them, to accommodate them, are just inadequate. Otherwise, if we have enough, and we are supposed to classify them, that's categorize them, first offenders, criminal recidivists, and all of that.
Okay.
But we are handicapped. So there's no, the classification we do, I would say that's separation anyway. Keep the men aside, keep the female on that side, keep our waiting trials, keep convicts and all of that.
Okay, so talking about reintegration, you spoke of some people who, within the shortest possible time, they come back into the correctional facility.
Well, the recidivists.
Yes. Now, the correctional facility in itself, doesn't it have a role when it comes to global best practice to play in the reintegration process?
We do.
When it comes to social fitness for them to be able to fit fine into society, do you carry that out, and what are the steps you take for the reintegration to be possible?
Yeah. In the system, we have what we call aftercare services.
Okay.
As we rehabilitate these people, reform them, and then at the exit point we reintegrate them to the society. We make arrangements and we give them starter packs based on
what they have learned inside.
Yeah, what they have. Like if you're a carpenter, we equip you with carpentry tools, and even go the extra mile of securing a suitable place
for you to
shop
practice
or whatever,
okay.
And we subject such ex-convict to periodical checks. The welfare officer and the aftercare officer, visits them to monitor their progress and all of that. But again, we have limitations because we are not able to provide all of this for all inmates that discharge.
All right, Controller, as we begin to wind down the conversation, the federal government a while ago had said that about 50 doctors should be employed and 100 of 100 of them, another 100 nurses to be deployed to several correctional centers across the country. I'm wondering, what is the extent of the effects of lack of health personnel to cater for your inmates? Has that affected you, and or the issues have been resolved as regards to that?
Yeah, of course. If you're in charge of a population that is largely ill, you should be concerned, and that's why the federal government decided to take that bold step, and we applaud them for that. And we on our own too have gone the extra mile to seek collaboration with the Akwa Ibom State Health Insurance Scheme, and they have graciously accepted, not just accepted, but they have actually started enrollment of our inmates, so that they can access free medical care from that agency.
Okay.
To be fully catered for by the government.
Well, one for the road.
One
for the road. The correctional center here in Akwa Ibom State would really be looking up to your expertise in ensuring that good fortunes are brought to it. Now, moving forward, what are the plans of your command in ensuring that the needs of these correctional centers continually put at the front burner, attracting as much interest as possible, be it from the federal government and the state government?
Yeah, it's to reach out, and that's one of the reasons I'm so glad about this invitation by your revered agency, for which I'm grateful, because it's mainly through advocacy that we approach people. Like I told you, we met with the Health Insurance Agency, we probably met with the Akwa Ibom State Environmental Protection and Waste Management Agency, to introduce them to some of the reforms in our now, you know, there's a unit now headed, it's a directorate really, you know, headed by Deputy Controller General, that is called a non-custodial service. It's a part of this service. That is by the name, you can see these people, they are sentenced, they are convicted, sentenced, but they don't go to the custodial center to serve out their jail term. Rather, we encourage the magistrates to sentence them to non-custodial sentences, so that they can, the society can benefit from their services. They can be asked to go clear so place and given a timeline within which to do that. So that's advocacy we are doing, and it is paying us, and we'll continue in that spirit.
Did the governor give you a time frame that the new site for your correctional center will be ready? Was there a time frame given?
He actually hasn't given a time frame, but he has promised. You know, the whole thing borders on with over 90% of the jobs to be executed there are on his shoulders, which he has accepted to do, but he has equally, in the last 2 weeks, directed that some gray areas, you know, be redesigned. There are some areas that he feels are rather too unwieldy or too bogus, that he would, like administrative, you know, unit of the place, he feels it's too large and it's going to consume too much money. Why don't we redesign?
And space too.
Yeah, why don't we redesign? Of course, I have equally communicated his thoughts to our national headquarters.
Well, a Controller of Corrections, Akwa Ibom Command, CC Franco Concord, we must thank you especially for making out time to come on Niger Delta today. Thank you for your time and company.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.